Welcome everyone to the fourth episode of Unbreakable Spirits, Stories of Strength and Resilience. And the remarkable people that I have been fortunate enough to meet and learn from through the years on so many levels about their strength and their resilience to keep going amidst all the challenges that they have to overcome physically and otherwise to keep healthy. So I'm Maryanne Haggerty. I'm an exercise physiologist of many years. I'm a corrective exercise specialist, also now a cancer exercise specialist, an aquatic specialist, and I work with people of many different abilities. My main goal is make sure that people are functionally healthy and very passionate about it. And today I have Connie from Canada here with me, who is a remarkable woman that I met, I guess early 2000s, probably. I guess it's been Connie. And Connie and I taught together with the Aquatic Therapy and Rehab Institute. And Connie has brought such a depth to the health conscious people throughout the world, and to keep us active, to keep us moving in a way that not only brings safety and functioning, but also fun and laughter in many ways. One of the best things Connie has brought, and many years of knowing, I always think of her bringing up the term motion is Lotion. And that stuck with me from probably 25 years or more now. Hi, Connie.
Hi, Maryanne. Thank you for the intro. Yeah, and if anybody wants to work with Maryanne where she is in the world, I have to say she's the best. So she will bring compassion and a great deal of knowledge and expertise to your interaction. So I highly endorse what you're doing in your part of the world. And thank you for being a bright light to all of your students, your clients, your participants, whoever you're coming across in your career.
Thank you so much, Connie. Thank you. I'm so grateful for virtual training now too, that we can do. Tell us a little bit about you, about what you have done to contribute to us staying healthy.
Yeah, I'm also an exercise physiologist like Maryanne. So we've shared that in common since we first met, and have really taken a swerve into the rehab end of things since about the mid-90s. I started off as a land instructor and then a land instructor trainer. So that would have been in the 80s, if people remember that. Probably not many people do. But back then it wasn't all horse and cart. We actually did fitness kinds of things. And so land first and then water, and really quite quickly got into therapeutic use of the water for a lot of folks. And then I started working with some physiotherapy clinics with a really talented physio in Canada named Carolyn Van Dyken. And she's done a tremendous amount of work with people who have persistent pain. So all the different pain syndromes, and a couple of things happened there. First of all, I ended up getting the majority of the clients from not just her clinic, but another couple of clinics, physiotherapy clinics, would send me the people who couldn't thrive or progress on land. And typically they were people who were dealing with chronic pain, persistent pain, fibromyalgia, conditions that kind of didn't let them progress easily on land. And the other thing that Carolyn got me involved with was doing brief educational seminars for people who are living with persistent pain. So helping to educate people about what that means, where pain comes from, what's the pain mechanism, how does it play out in your body, and what can you do about it? So all pain comes from your brain, and that doesn't mean you're making it up. All pain is real pain. So getting people to really understand on a level that wasn't insulting to them about, because if you have persistent pain, you often end up having gone to a series of healthcare providers, and not getting answers that were helping you. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't know about your education in exercise phys, Maryanne, but mine didn't cover things like persistent pain.
No,
And a
not
lot
at the time. Not
no,
at the
and a
time.
lot has been learned in the last 20, 30, 40 years since you and I were studying it at a university level. So I think that I learned a lot by researching to help those people, and was able, I think, in at least some small way to help calm their brain a little bit and see what role they could play in their own recovery. And I learned a lot, and I hope they learned a lot by us going through some very easy to understand, uncomplicated ways of looking at the nervous system and how your pain can be manifesting itself in your body and what you can do about it. And I brought that as well to the pool. So I was working with people with neuropathic pain, fibromyalgia, other types of pain in the water, and also layering pain education in with what we were doing in the water. So I was lucky enough to have a couple of very nice, small, warm therapeutic pools that we could see people in, and did a lot of that work over the years. Meanwhile, before that, in that mix of things, in '97, I was diagnosed with breast cancer myself. So it was a stage 1, but bordering on a stage 2. So ended up doing the full surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and then joining a dragon boat team for survivors subsequent to that. Traveled with
Wonderful.
that team. Yeah, traveled with that team to New Zealand and Australia, and we competed in Florida and across Canada. So it was really quite a community of people. And like a lot of other conditions, breast cancer has many forms. It has many different levels of diagnosis. Treatment is unique to each person. The issues, the health issues that come up subsequent to treatment are quite debilitating for some, and can lead to a series of other health problems that are related to the treatment that you had, because radiation is hard on your body. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. So the tissue damage that happens from radiation, the other upset to your body chemistry that happens with things like chemotherapy, those things keep you alive in many circumstances, but they take a toll. So helping each other, being a support system for each other, but also learning how to work with that clientele in the pool as well, and with pain education. It's been part of my journey. So I wrote a book as well for people after diagnosis, because I found that I'm a pretty up person. Like Maryanne, I think we share that. We're both mostly smiling and mostly happy and enjoying a good laugh together, and celebrating that part of our personality and that side of our.
Really a good medicine for me.
Yeah, exactly. It is good medicine. So I wrote a little book called Prescription Laughter.
I have a copy.
But that was designed to help people when they're newly diagnosed, basically, or if they're finding themselves in a rut because they got a re-diagnosis, or their cancer is progressing, or they're dealing with treatment, or they're just dealing with the fear of diagnosis. Because I think there aren't many people on the planet that if you sat them down, looked them in the eye and said you got cancer, who would be doing cartwheels of joy, or not feeling some fear on some level, either fear of leaving your family behind, or fear of the complications and troubles that you'll go through in terms of treatment, or fear of paying for it, depending on what part of the world you're living in. In Canada, we're fortunate to have our healthcare covered, but other parts of the world, it means you're going to lose your home potentially, or just way up. Do you have treatment, or do you send your kids to college?
Yes. I know you said the only thing you had to pay for was parking.
Yes.
And it was like, I'm like, that's really, I mean, that's major worry off of.
Yes. Well, yeah, you got enough to worry about without having to worry about where will I find the money to pay for to pay for saving my life. So anyway, so Prescription Laughter was there to help people access their funny bone as part of their journey, put things in perspective, find different ways to lighten the moment for themselves when they needed that. Something I would do with my pain-focused patients when we were at the pool as part of this pain education was to talk to them about, what brings you joy? What is it that brings you joy? And there's one lady that I worked with, I could not get her to smile. I could barely get her to talk. And I just kept asking her questions about, what makes her happy? What's a good day for you? What brings you joy? What makes you smile? And eventually she came up with her grandchildren. And so once I got her talking about her grandchildren, she was a completely different person. She had a different experience in the pool. She was actually able to do more things. And she was actually smiling throughout most of our session together, which was a real breakthrough. So people, your attitude is your choice. What happens to you in life happens to you in life. And we all get stuff thrown at us, whether it's a car accident or a sick child or a sick parent or financial hardship. Life throws all of that stuff at all of us.
Will.
If you haven't let something bad happen yet, it probably will. That's just part of what life is. It can be a struggle. So, how do you choose your attitude in those situations? How do you step back from it and say, what could I do right now that would make me feel better?
Yeah.
And rather than self-medicating with alcohol or drugs or, whatever you might choose that could result in more problems for you, it's good to have some stuff that doesn't cost anything and won't hurt you, has no bad side effects. And that can be humor. If for some people it's religion, for others it's sitting down with a cherished friend and just pouring their heart out and letting that person sympathize and empathize and help them find their way through it. Talking to a health professional that can do that for you if you don't have a cherished friend that you trust. And those are the kinds of things that can be free and free of side effects other than good side effects, which is feeling better. And, things like taking a deep breath and just letting it out slowly. And do that a couple of times, 3 times. You can really reframe where your head's at.
Yeah, so it's so important. So important.
Yeah.
And exercise. The right exercise.
Of course, the right exercise. Any kind of movement, typically you will feel better afterwards. Almost 100%. Even if you're really hurting physically, because let's say you've had a motor vehicle accident and you're pretty bruised up and sore, or you had a joint replaced and it's not strong or very functional yet, some movement is better than no movement. And if you start with, these muscles and move out from there, chances are even just smiling makes you feel better. It makes you breathe more deeply because it opens your nasal passages. So it works like those snoring strips, right? But they don't look weird walking around in the mall. So you can just, smile and breathe better. And while you're thinking of it, breathe deeper and breathe a little bit more. And that's a form of movement. That's exercise for a whole bunch of muscles around your heart. So if it's only that, that's
protecting the core.
Yeah. So I like simple solutions. Yeah, I like simple solutions for people. I don't want it to be complicated or expensive, or they have to drive an hour to get there and find parking and all that stuff. So as much as I'm a movement motivator as my career, I'm not a gym junkie. I don't like the smell. I kind of realized at some point that for me, getting a gym membership, they smell bad. Usually the light isn't good and it smells like old socks. At best, it smells like old socks. So I
kind of think the whole outside is our gym. Everywhere.
So, walking around your living room, I like movement snacks where you just have a little snack, and the little snack might be, a few finger exercises, or it might be a few deep breaths, might be some butt clenches. So you pop out of your chair a little bit. It could be just doing some fingers and toes and ankle movement and wrist movement and shoulder movement, and take a breath and you say, oh, geez, I feel better. I think I'll get up and walk around. Right. Yeah. So even if you're not feeling comfortable to move, just starting with those little, just tease your way into it. And then just everything counts when you move. So it doesn't have to be an hour and a half of hitting your max heart rate in the gym. It doesn't.
No, no, it's cumulative. It's everything that we do. It's all
Absolutely.
about the total package
Yes.
of keeping the body motion in lotion.
Yes. Well, and if going to the gym it works for you and it gives you that endorphin high and you like that environment and it really pushes your buttons in a good way, absolutely. But the best exercise in the world is the one you will do.
Yeah.
So you let that sink in, and then you think, okay, what do I like to do? And I've heard people say, I don't like to do anything. I can't think of anything I like to do. Okay, well then you start thinking, do you have a dog? Borrow a dog, right? Walk somebody's dog. Go out to a dog park and admire the dogs. Do whatever it takes to sort of get you off your rear end, because nothing says ouch like sitting on the couch. Get off your rear end and just do something. Get engaged with life at whatever level you can and build on it.
Yeah, we have to build strength, and strength is wherever each person is at that moment. And it's like you're paddling on a river,
Mostly
different
lakes,
rivers of the world.
yeah, lakes, sometimes the ocean.
Oh,
that was scary as heck. Yeah, rolled a boat
wow.
in
Excuse me.
Wellington, New Zealand, in the heavy winds, like gone, flipped it over.
So I have to say, from the name of your businesses, for the love of fit, for the love, keeping in theme with do what you like, do what you love, keep moving and everything. For the love of fit says it all to me, to keep that joy going and that happiness going and that mind over matter, from the humor too, to enjoy it and to look at it from the standpoint of like, I can make this happen because I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I think you can't take yourself too seriously. I think if you're not a natural athlete, if you're not somebody who grew up in sport and fitness, who it's part of you and it's, you think it, you feel it, you grew up with that. If you're not that person, if you're not that person and you never have been, it can be really intimidating to do things like go to a gym, or you can be really beating yourself up because, well, shouldn't you be able to run 5K by now? Or, shouldn't you be able to bench 100 pounds, whatever? People are awfully hard on themselves if they're not making the progress as quickly as they think they should. Or, I've gone to the gym once. Why don't I look like her? Because she's at the gym for 17 hours a week and she picked different parents than you, right? So there are lots of reasons why you're not going to be even with somebody else. You just have to look at, again, what you will do, and whether that's skydiving, ballroom dancing, playing with grandkids, taking a pet for a walk. We walk our parrots. So I didn't say parents, I said parrots. And so we have a stroller for our macaw, and he goes out for a walk and with the other birds along too, if it's warm enough. So whatever it is, gets you off the couch, gets you moving a little bit, gets you breathing, enjoying maybe some fresh air if you are lucky enough to be in an environment where you can get some fresh air to breathe.
What was your saying about getting off the couch?
Nothing says ouch like sitting on the couch.
Nothing says ouch like sitting on the couch. I love it. That's true.
And I also, the other one I really like is, not the best exercise in the world is the one you will do. Because people will, particularly in the new year, right, which happens in January, but it also happens in September, interestingly. You probably find this. A lot of people, kids are going back to school, back into the routine, right? So if you fell off the gym wagon, you'll maybe hop back on in September and you'll hop back on in January, get back on the treadmill and start sweating it out in the gym, But if it's not something you're going to maintain, if it's not something you enjoy, you'll soon enough find a reason to skip it.
Oh, yeah.
You find that, Maryanne?
Oh
set people
yeah,
up with a
it's
program, and if they're not really clicking with it, they won't do it.
no. You have to there that element of making it enjoyable, that it doesn't hurt. And that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of times people get out of the habit, not only because of they might be bored with it, but it also because it hurts something and they're afraid that it's going to make things worse. So they just stop. And that's where it's like it becomes a downward spiral of getting deconditioned. And then you get out of, you don't have the stability or the mobility in your joints that you need, because motion is lotion to keep it going. So you have to break that cycle. And the number one way is find what works for you, what you enjoy, what doesn't hurt you.
And so starting with a little bit,
yeah,
and the little bit might be a couple or three deep, slow breaths and some shoulder rolls. People who are tied, I don't know if you work much with people who have, say, an office job, or they work from home and they're at the computer all day. And they say, well, I can't leave and go to the gym. I might be a doctor's receptionist and I'm sitting behind a glass panel and I'm tied to the computer and my headset, and I literally can't get up except for my legislative breaks that I get. And I might not get that because we're so behind with people and business and work and what I have to do. And that's really hard and it's stressful. And I think it's really stressful on the body. I mean, I would see people in the rehabilitation setting. I would see as many people. We had clientele that came from a lot of blue collar jobs in the particular clinics I was dealing with, as well as we have had some who were white collar workers, where they were sitting at a desk, not so much working from home back then, but they were more at a sedentary desk job. And the injuries were pretty level in terms of how much they were injured by their work. Not the same kind of injuries, but the guys who were out working on construction, men and women who were working on construction and hauling around heavy equipment and wheelbarrows and, working bent over and doing a lot of hard physical jobs, they would get injured on the job. But you'd see repetitive strain from people at a computer all day, or they would have their neck and jaw so wired up that they were having perpetual headaches and couldn't sleep at night. And so the injuries were not the same, but equally debilitating for either one. So really the one of the wonderful things that I went to an automotive plant where they were making things like dashboard vinyl and stuff that covers dashboards and seats, and that it was a plant that did that kind of accessory production for making automobiles, and it was a pretty big place. And I was hired to come in and do a little workplace intervention, if you like, just to talk to them about how they could prevent injuries on the job. What could they do so that they wouldn't get injured and have overuse injuries and the kinds of things that were preventable on their end. And I spent the whole time really talking about things like awareness. Yes, and they have all kinds of training. They have to do safety training all the time. I'm not going to stand there and tell them how to pick up a ladder or, how to move this from A to B, because I'm not doing their job. They're in a different situation and they've been trained in that anyway. So I talked to them more about, what do you do in between the work intervals? What do you do on your lunch break? What do you do after work? And I was delighted to see a gentleman there who was probably 50-ish, who was doing yoga. So he was a pipe fitter welder, which meant that he was bent over all day. He was having to crawl underneath different kinds of equipment to get to other equipment, which is typically where a lot of them get hurt. They're doing a bent over lift or a bent over lift with a twist, which is a perfect recipe for a disc injury. Exactly. If you wonder how to do one, that's how you do it. And he did yoga. He was doing yoga three, 4 times a week, really enjoying it. And here's this blue collar guy that if you saw him walk into a room, you'd never identify him as the yogi in the group. But he was limber. He was feeling good. He said he'd taken it up a couple years ago because he just kept getting injured, and now he wasn't getting injured anymore, even though he was getting older. So, it's really nice when you get those benchmarks along the way where you can see people who've made it work in their life, and it reinforces everything we try to do.
Yeah. I know I had similar experiences going in. We have occupational safety health administration here, and we go in and do these workplace evaluations, and you find that the safety issues become more about those that are sedentary at the desk, leaning forward, and the posture
Yeah.
that
Tensing up.
compresses your nerves, basically.
Stress and tension. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with one lady who had, she was in a police dispatching job, and for some reason, she wouldn't wear a headset because something about it bothered her, and she couldn't wear a headset. So she had a phone there for, a 12-hour shift. And she had symptoms that were like a Bell's palsy or a stroke. She had half of her face wasn't going to move anymore. She was getting radiating pain down her arm, loss of her hand, the mobility of her hand, because of all the nerve impingement she was doing. And it was really, there had to be a better way to do that job. And she wasn't really willing to even hear a different way of doing it. But man, it was shutting her down. She had no quality of life outside of work at all. So I wanted to introduce her to the guy who did yoga, but they were, different jobs. Their paths didn't cross, but the yoga would have done her a lot of good. Anything that would have got her moving differently would be a great thing. I mean, the desk job people, really simple tip. First of all, educating about posture, as I know you do all the time, right? Then secondly, once you know about the postural cues, few little things to think about: ears over shoulders, over hips, lift the chest, get your head over your spine, those little things. Get them to feel it, get them to know what it feels like to not be in that posture and to hold that posture. And then you go to the dollar store, or you look in your desk and you get some little stickers, and you put a little sticker up on your computer, and you put another one by your keyboard, another one on the filing cabinet, another one somewhere else, one on your dashboard or your rear view mirror. And every time you see the sticker, you hear me nagging you. Sit up straight, take a deep breath, roll your shoulders down, line up your neck, and move on from there.
It's a recording. Right? It's a recording. Yes.
Yeah. And it builds the habit. It builds the habit, and it helps them get into that routine. The other thing is that if they are able to, if they're not in a group work environment, you take a really dollar store again. I really should get a commission. Dollar store, and you get a really
$1.25 now.
Yeah, you get a little $2 now. You get a little wind up alarm, and you set the alarm where you have to get up and go turn it off. It's not on your computer, it's not on your watch, it's on the other side of the room, or it's around the corner down the hall. And so you have to get up and go reset that alarm every 20 minutes. And when you get up to do it, you do some shoulder rolls and some deep breaths and maybe an arm stretch on the way. And you give yourself a hug, and you loosen up your neck. And then you go back to work. And that took like 30 seconds. And I feel better. And I think better. And at the end of the day, there's more of me left over to do other stuff that isn't work.
Yeah, because I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck and compressed.
Or taking drugs or alcohol to try to cope with the pain.
Yeah. It's
simple things.
What were others saying to move? It wasn't
to improve.
Lotion. Move to improve.
Move to improve. Yeah, particularly people who are rehabilitating from something. I think, again, health confidence is something that I talk about a lot with people, like your belief in your body to be able to do things for you. And that can get in the way of taking up a new sport or a new active hobby, or even getting out for a walk. I think I'm going to hurt my back again. I think it hurts so badly that I think my back's actually going to break if I try to do the exercises you gave me, or the exercises that the physio gave me. So health confidence is a big one. And again, building a little bit at a time, a little bit gradually, realizing you can take a deep breath.
Dosage. Tiny little dosage. Exercise, movement is medicine.
It all builds up that confidence again, so that you can start to trust your body to be able to do something for you and not crash and burn.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you have to rebuild that trust in yourself. in your
That
ability to be able to
confidence.
do things. Because as we were talking about before we went on camera, they will self-select out of all kinds of activities because they're afraid that either they can't keep up, they'll look stupid, or they'll hurt themselves.
You said healthcare is another word for self-care too, for basically taking care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And without this confidence in yourself, it's hard. You have to build up that confidence, the self-confidence, to have the health confidence.
Yeah, a little bit at a time.
Get better. You will get better little by little.
Yes.
Too. And things will move freely, and the pain can be managed in a way, in several different ways too.
Absolutely.
And sometimes starting with the best medicine, laughter.
Some laughter always helps. Yeah. Well, it helps me. And like I said, for other people, it might be religion. It might be talking to a good friend. It might be putting your kitty cat in your lap and enjoying your pet. Those kinds of things are just relax the whole mind and body. When I was teaching people about, about learning to manage pain, breathing came up as such a wonderful way to manage pain, and it does. And I would talk to people about their autonomic or their automagic nervous system that determines like breathing and digestion and heart rate and hormone secretion and all those things that happen without us thinking about it. It's all automagic, right? And then over here you got your conscious nervous system, which is, I will wear my green shirt today because it's St. Patty's Day, or I plan to get to know my colleague's name who's sitting 2 seats over because I don't know them yet, or I'm going to take this route to work because I think there's construction on the other route, or now I will move my right foot to the brake because I'm coming to a stop sign. Those are all conscious things that we do. Breathing is something that belongs in both categories. So breathing happens automatically, but breathing we can also control. When your breathing is comfortable and low and slow, it calms down the automagic system, which is the one that actually can be generating pain. Pain is a response from your body to protect you. So things will hurt to protect you from hurting yourself worse. That's what your brain thinks. If I tighten this up, it will protect you from X, Y, or Z, your boss. I'll tighten your shoulders. That will protect you from your boss that's coming in to stand over, look over your shoulder, right? So we know it doesn't work, but somewhere back there, your ancient brain is doing this to protect you. So that's what pain is. And pain is generated to protect you. Breathing calms pain down. It calms down this whole system that generates pain and just makes it more relaxed and calm. We can consciously control breathing, and it's like it's the door between the two systems. So if I breathe slowly, deeply, it calms down this system that is the pain generating system. That's the automagic one that creates pain to protect us without us asking it to, without us wanting it to. It does it. And this conscious system can control that system, and the main route is breathing. So slow, deep breathing. Everything on this side just goes, ah. Also putting a smile on your face. Your face changes your brain, and it changes your physiology, what you're doing with your face.
So if I smile, I might not feel the pain as much.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's the goal.
There's all kinds of pain studies that have been done with people watching humorous movies and so on. And yeah, it actually works. And it to some people, I think you have to be careful, because I think some people get insulted by that. Like you're saying that I'm making up my pain and that I could just breathe it away. Well, no, but you might get your pain from an 8 to a 6 out of 10. And an 8 out of 10 is not manageable or comfortable. A 6 out of 10, you can kind of get on with your day, and it might still be there in the background, but it's not going to hound you as badly. Furthermore, you're getting, again, that confidence to understand that you can actually get it from an 8 to a 6 without chemicals, without drugs, without alcohol, without, any negative behavior. You can actually calm it down enough that you can function a bit better. You can enjoy life a little bit more. You cannot be distracted or made so uncomfortable by your pain, and you have control over at least a bit of that.
I love the way that you're explaining it too, with the systems of the body, the control that we have through breathing. Connie, thank you. That's a great way to start with building strength over and resilience over our condition, whatever that condition may be that's causing this pain. Too, there's so much in our personal journey that we need to develop this simple, like you said, keep it simple, and this ability to just breathe and just relax your breathing so that we can turn off those pain signals that are holding us back from being functional, be mobile, and have stability and strength in our lives to do what we want to do independently. Yeah.
Having some joy.
Having some joy.
For joy in your life. And if you've got persistent pain, that's hard to do.
It's very hard to do, to break through, but I love the keys that you're giving here of how the emotional and the mental capacity too can be affected by the simple act of changing the channel. Too. Through the years, I remember you saying, change the channel, and retune to something simple like your own breathing, and affecting the two different systems of the body, the one conscious, one unconscious, and being able to go forward by resetting.
And placebo effect. I'm a huge proponent of placebo effect, and we know how powerful it is. That people can be given a little blue pill that may have a pain reducing drug in it, or it may not, when they do double-blind studies in scientific studies. So we know that it's very powerful if somebody gives you a little blue pill and says, this will make your pain better. This will drop your pain by 30%. All you have to do is, sit down, have a glass of water, do some nice, slow, deep breathing, maybe put a pretty picture in front of you that you enjoy looking at, or flip through family photo albums. Well, you probably could have got the reduction in pain without taking the little blue pill if you just sat down in the chair and had a few deep breaths and a glass of water and looked through your family photo albums that you loved, right? So placebo effect is very powerful. And once you start to as well have conscious control over the things that either ramp your pain up or drop it down for you, again, you build that confidence, that idea that just like you have confidence in the little blue pill, if you believe that's what's happening, helping you, right? You could develop confidence in your own ability to change the channels, to dial down your nervous system, to get your whole body to relax a little bit, as opposed to tensing up in response to the pain. So they're all skills that people can work on and can get a little bit better at. I mean, if you say to somebody who takes regular pain medication, you can say to them, well, if you take your pain meds for your sore back or whatever it is you're dealing with, how long does it take for it to start giving you relief? And you'll often get an answer like, 10 minutes, I feel better, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I start to feel better. Well, you're feeling better because you knew you took the pain medication and you knew relief is on the way. So your body's already ramped down all the anxiety and tension about pain, and you're already feeling better, even though it's not in your system yet. It's not in your bloodstream yet. You haven't. It's going to take half an hour, 40 minutes for it to get there.
I would hope pineapple would work that quick.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to.
When a person is faced with this, like, overwhelming, I guess, anxiety of the pain to affecting their lives, it's like, what would you say? I know this is kind of putting you on the spot here, to them to kind of change the channel. In
the pool, I would tell people to create create a happiness basket. So it can be an emotional mental basket. It can be that, I'm going to call my grandchild. That's one of the little tickets that's going to be in your happy basket. I'm going to call my best friend, Maryanne, and we're going to have a good talk about this. It could be that I'm going to go and pick up my kitty cat and set it on my lap and give it some nice pats and cuddles and listen to it purr. It might be that I'm going to go for a walk. It might be that, I might have, the thing is to have a number of resources. So that's what I would ask people. If I asked you to put together a happiness basket, what would you put in it? What things bring you joy that immediately make you feel happier, more contented, more accomplished, more secure, whatever it is that just makes you feel good. It might be your Bible. It might be it might be a picture of somebody that you love. It doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that it works for you. So creating something like a happiness basket is a good idea. I created a free online course for people that's all about coping with persistent pain. So because I would have people in the pool saying, I'll give you the link for that so that you can put it in.
Yeah.
Great. But it's free. People have to put their email in to get into it, but I don't scam them and I don't collect emails and barrage them with things. They just have to put an email in to be able to access it. But it's absolutely free. And it's just there going through a lot of little tips and tricks to help people get moving again and help them get feeling a little bit better about themselves to be able to cope in the moment and more long-term with whatever it is that's causing them pain. So that's available to people and, whatever other resources they can find, whether they actually need professional help. I've dealt with patients, and you may have as well, Maryanne, I don't know, who have PTSD from, either some event that happened in their life or some ongoing trauma in their life. Those folks, that's way beyond my pay grade. And there are some of those folks who are going to need professional help, professional counseling to get past, years of sexual abuse or having been in a military situation where they lost a limb or, those kinds of really traumatic, difficult things that are, they're potentially going to need some medication and they're potentially going to need some professional help that specializes in that particular area. But for a large number of people, it's not that severe. It's not, clinical where they would actually need that necessarily high-priced help. There's some things they could start with at least. And if that's not working for them, then by all means, go to a higher power. But really, you're your own higher power on a lot of this is just believing that you are and knowing how to do it.
Yeah. And identifying it and trying to take the little steps each day to control and to manage it. And it's basically the little steps of resilience and strength that keep us unstoppable.
And celebrating the wins. I know you must do that with your folks as well. Celebrate the little wins because people.
I thought you meant like. Sorry,
not the win.
I was thinking we had some pretty severe wins the other day. I'm like, I'm not celebrate that being thrown around in that win.
Yeah, but celebrate the little wins because people often don't even recognize the progress they've made. They don't realize how much better they are this week than they were last week. So testing and retesting will do that, but sometimes taking a picture, sometimes proving to them that, okay, 3 weeks ago you were doing this. Now you're doing this. That's a big change. That's a big change.
Yeah.
Yay for you. You did it. That's wonderful.
That is so true too. We get to one point and then we forget that we got to that point. That's a big part of the motivation and the inspiration.
Yes.
For each person. I was going to say, do you have any books or quotes or philosophies? But you've been saying a lot of them too. Your book though, Prescription. What is
Prescription Laughter? Prescription Laughter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Prescription Laughter. I truly believe that's a game changer for many too, and how it has helped you, and you're helping others too through applying these lessons of of little dosages of building your resilience and your strength through the basics of starting with the breathing and moving forward to work through different joints of the body.
Dragon boating. If you look at it's a different kind of paddling than people who are in the 10-person sculls or the eight-person sculls or whatever. You're paddling only on one side.
Oh.
So the paddle stroke is actually very much like you do on a sup board, except the oar is half the length.
Oh,
but
wow.
When you're steering, you're standing at the back of a moving boat with an oar that is about 15 feet long.
Wow. That's amazing. I love it.
It was,
I'm thinking of the standing paddle boards.
Yeah. Well, so standing paddleboarding is the standing paddleboarding would be the most similar to steering the dragon boat, except the dragon boat has a lot of mass. We've created a course to train instructors of floating fitness classes. So people doing a fitness class at a pool or in a body of water, on a paddleboard or a float, which they do have now float mats that are designed specifically for pools. So rather than it being a paddleboard, you can use a paddleboard, but you can also have a float mat. So it's an inflatable, heavy duty, inflatable, like the inflatable paddleboards, that kind of heavy material, but it's actually square. It's not designed to be hydrodynamic to go through the water. It's designed to be tethered to a lane rope. So they do floating fitness classes, floating yoga classes, whatever. So you have that whole balance element added to what you're doing. Plus you can pop in the water and cool off and do other exercises.
Wow. But and you also, is this through your AQUA?
Yeah, that's the AQX, Aqua Leadership Excellence program. So we have basic aqua fitness leader training there, as well as AQX on floats, which is the floating fitness, as well as aqua cycling, which is bicycles in the water, not your ordinary bicycle. They are aquatic bicycles, and they can be used for rehab. They're actually really good for people rehabbing knees and hips, but they can also be a flat out fitness class that's done in a pool on a bicycle. And then one of the programs I'm very proud of is called Aquability. And that is it's sort of like a second level aqua fitness instructor training. So if you're already an aqua fitness instructor and you want to train something like a class that is maybe with people with arthritis or post-cardiac or a mixture, typically a class like that, you're going to get a mixture of people who might be pregnant, they might be postnatal, so they're not really ill per se, but they're going through a part of their life where their body's a little different and may not be comfortable in a regular aqua fitness class. So it deals with specialty classes, but also with, as an aqua fit instructor, we get the walking wounded. We get the people who are coming to the class because they've got back pain and they don't want to go to the regular aqua fitness class, or they come to it because they're 87 and they're not keeping up with the regular aqua fitness class the way they used to, or they just want them slower pace, a little bit slower music. We get people who've had injuries and whatever surgeries or are preparing for surgery. I call that prehabilitation. Get yourself in shape before you go under the knife, which is a really, really good idea, because the more fit you are, the better you're going to come through any kind of trauma like a surgery. So Aquability is that program, and that's available to anybody. It's an online course. They can get basic training, but if they want to get certified, then they need a practical component, which we can do virtually, or if it's possible, then we do in-person training for that.
That's all wonderful. So it's available to not only instructors, but also to the general population.
It is available to anybody. The Aquability is really kind of tuned toward instructors, but if you're you could be an enthusiast for aqua fitness and really kind of learn about why you're doing what you're doing or how you can modify your exercise. It's really good for that too.
Yeah, I love it. It's so much, you're doing so much to keep the world healthy, Connie. Not just Canada.
Like you, I've created a lot of training courses. So I think, as we you're not there yet, but as you get to be an elder, you're sort of saying, okay, well, it's time to give back a little bit. And how do I get these resources are sitting on my computer, or I have a whole bunch of courses and things that they don't change.
Yeah.
The physiology is the same. So getting those things out there so people can actually make use of them is an important goal.
Yeah. To make it accessible to people.
I was going to say too, on the same platform where the pain course is, there's a course there called the Back Whisperer, and it's all about doing training for your core and back for people who might have back pain, or for instructors to learn how to teach without giving people back pain. It's all about using research to train the core in a functional, back-friendly way. So that's the Back Whisperer, and that's free as well, and is on that same learning platform. So I'll make sure you have the links for that, for those courses, and then people can hop in and enjoy them if they wish.
I hope everyone here listening is learning so much from Connie's unbreakable spirit, unstoppable spirit. It just keeps going and keeps giving from the strength and the resilience over adversity, over the challenges, but also keeping us healthy and looking for different alternative ways. Connie, is there anything that I missed that you would like to share with the audience? And
so I just wish everybody the best with whatever positive changes they're trying to make in their life, and be patient, because it doesn't happen overnight. You didn't get to where you are now overnight, and you're not going to get to a new normal overnight either. So you have to be patient with yourself, baby steps, pat yourself on the back. That's a good stretch. Just anytime you need to pat yourself on the back, even if you're not seeing any progress at all, the fact that you're still working on it is worth a pat on the back. So be kind to yourself. Think of treating yourself the way you would your best friend. And if your best friend was trying to do something, you wouldn't come up and say, "Oh, you idiot, you didn't make it out to your dance class last Thursday, and you also skipped this, and you had an extra glass of wine. Are you ever a turd?" You wouldn't do that with your best friend. So why would you do it to yourself? And if you start treating yourself a little bit like you would a loved one, then I think it kind of cushions your expectations a little bit, and you're a little kinder with yourself as you try to make those changes. Because that's one of the hardest things you will do in life, is to change habits.
Yeah, that is. Well, thank you for helping us build our habit of health confidence and our ability to move forward and to take a step up from being stuck and feeling stuck, not necessarily being stuck, where we can take the step of a simple breath and laughter, and laughter is the correct breathing technique too.
It's really good.
And moving forward with that. Thank you for sharing your experience, your beginning of your life story, and we'll look forward to seeing Connie for part 2.
That would be my pleasure. Yeah.
Anytime. Thank you. My pleasure too, Connie. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for joining us for Unbreakable Spirits, stories of strength and resilience through healthy fitness and aquatics. Again, I'm Maryanne Haggerty, signing off with episode 4 with Connie from Canada. Connie, and just want to thank you all for taking the time to join us. Look for our resources, and we love to reach out and talk to you too. Take care.